Someone told me not to cry. Hello everyone, welcome to another epic episode of Mac Music Review. In this episode we're looking at this album. Here's the thumbnail, so let's make sure it's nice and good. Let's get it right. Ooh. Sick. This album, in case you don't know, is Funeral by Arcade Fire, and it is the band's most legendary album. It got a near perfect score on Pitchfork. It either got like a 9.7 or a 9.8, which is almost unheard of. It was their second best album of the 2000s. I personally made a video going over my favorite albums of the 2000s. Just a warning, the video is kind of terrible because I really messed up on the editing, but I'll still link that below in the description. Yeah, this got number 10. And, yeah, it's kind of a legendary album. A lot of people, it's one of the most critically acclaimed albums, I think, of all time. It has like a 91 on Metacritic. Just has this legendary reputation. But does it really live up to that reputation? Today we are asking the question, is Funeral a 5-star album? To answer that question, let's try to break down the album. What's going on here? Well, musically, the album is absolutely, it's lush, it's beautiful, it's extremely melodramatic. This album, and in fact, even musically, this album is emotional. The album actually conveys emotion via music. I think Middle 8 did a video on that. I'll try to link it in the description. If you just search Arcade Fire Funeral Emotion, it probably pops up on YouTube, but I'll try to link that if I can remember. But the album actually uses instrumentation and swelling and changes in the music to communicate emotion, along with the very, very emotional, out there vocals and the extremely poetic, emotional lyrics. So basically, everything about this album is extremely big, it's extremely melodramatic, it's extremely emotional. The music, the vocals, the lyrics, it's all big, it's all out there, you could say. I think the album really hits the hardest, it hits the emotionally. The times the album works the best are the songs Neighborhood 1, and then you have Neighborhood 3. Neighborhood 1 just is this beautiful opening track, this dun 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 dun. It's like engraved in your mind the first time you hear it because it's so beautiful and fantastic. It is just an amazing way to start the album. And then you have Neighborhood 3, which is this very loud, aggressive song that constantly builds in aggression and loudness, and it's just, the vocals are desperate and insane. And then you have Wake Up, which once again, you have these big, ginormous group vocals that Arcade Fire had become famous for, with this na 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 na, and it's just, it doesn't sound good when I did it, but it's just beautiful. And the main singer just screams near the end of the song where he just lets it all out. You're like, ah, ah. And it is an emotional song that works. And then you have In the Backseat, the closing song, which is like amazing. It's all sung by the female singer of the band. I think they have a female person in the band. I don't know if she just comes on for this song or is actually a part of the band. I think she's a part of the band. But she comes in on this song and she takes over and she does a fantastic job. It's an amazing closing song that will be in your memory for a while because it's very effective. To be completely honest, the entire album really sounds amazing. The entire album. Musically, vocally, this thing is really great. One complaint I would have is that I don't think it's that accessible because it's so dramatic. It's like you have to be in a certain mood to listen to this thing. It's not casual listening. It's so emotional and just charged and like, out there. And just so big, it's not something that you would I can see people casually listening to. And the other thing about this is, for some reason, I've listened to this album, I own it on vinyl, I own it on CD, I've listened to it a bunch of times on my phone, and I am just not connecting with most of it. Like, it just hasn't clicked for me in the way that Neon Bible and The Suburbs have clicked. Like, those albums, I think just because lyrically I'm not grasping everything that's going on. The lyrics are extremely poetic. It's literally like poetry, the lyrics on this thing. So it's not it's just not super accessible, and it's something I still haven't fully grasped, and I don't really get all of the songs. I don't get most of the songs on this album because it's just so poetic, and I think that does end up being a downside. It's something that will be an upside if you are a really careful listener and you listen to something like really concentrating on the words. But for me, this album just really hasn't clicked the way some of their other albums have. And for that reason, I'm not going to give it 5 stars. Like I said, it's number 10 on my best albums of the 2000s. So it is one of the best albums of the 2000s, but I think there's 9 albums that are actually better. And I don't feel like this is a 5-star album. Even though it's not clicking personally for me, even though I haven't fully gotten into this album, even though I've listened to it a ton of times, I just haven't, the album just hasn't like emotionally connected with me except for a few songs, like I said. Yeah, because for that reason, and just for the overly poeticness of it, I still think it's an amazing album in literally every single way. It's just not personally, for me, not striking that big of a chord. I'm going to give it a 4.5 star rating out of 5. So it's not a 5-star album, it's a 4.5 star album. It's almost there, but for me, not quite there yet. Thank you for watching the video. What is your favorite Arcade Fire album? Honestly, guys, it's probably Neon Bible for me. It may be The Suburbs. It's between Neon Bible and The Suburbs, because I listened to Everything Now, and I liked Everything Now, but it nearly, it wasn't as good as most of their other stuff. And I wasn't a huge fan of Reflector. I know a lot of people love Reflector, but I didn't really get into it. But, yeah. We will be, stupid phone. We will eventually talk about these other albums, I'm sure, in the future. I'm sure they'll come up. But, yeah, I'm also going to link the Suburbs review, because that was one of my first album reviews. So, Suburbs down in the description. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day.